New school year, new routines, and somehow your calendar is already full. When life gets hectic, Cauliflower's got your back. We make the food you crave made better for you, like thin and crispy cauliflower crust pizzas, all-natural chicken tenders, and nostalgic pizza snacks. Ready in minutes in something the whole family can agree on. Cauliflower is available in freezer aisles nationwide. Visit eatcauliflower.com to find a store near you.
Upgrade your laundry routine with a durable and reliable Maytag laundry pair at Lowe's. Like the new Maytag washer and dryer with performance-enhanced stain-fighting power, designed to cut through serious dirt and grime. And what's great is this laundry pair is in stock and ready for delivery when you need it the most. Don't miss out. Shop Maytag in-store or online today at Lowe's.
DNA ID is back with all new episodes for fall 2025. Make sure you follow the show to hear the incredible stories we are bringing to you. Cases like the homicide of Roger Dean and the active investigation into the murder of former Jane Doe, Tisha Ann Dyer. Please consider supporting the show on Patreon, where you will have access to the episodes early and ad-free, as well as exclusive content for Patreon subscribers. Happy listening.
You're listening to Missing Persons, brought to you by AbJack Entertainment. Be sure to check out some of the other great true crime podcasts from this network, including The Murder in My Family, DNA ID, Zodiac Speaking, Scene of the Crime,
Beyond Bizarre True Crime, Campus Killings,
and
Killer Communications.
All of these podcasts are available for you to binge on right now, wherever you listen to podcasts. Subscribe where you're listening to this podcast so you don't miss an episode.
The views and opinions expressed by guests on this podcast do not necessarily represent those of the podcast, its creators, or sponsors. This episode may contain unsettling or disturbing subject matter. Listener discretion is advised.
If you'd like to support Missing Persons and get VIP access to things like ad-free listening, early preview episodes, and bonus content of not only this show, but for every other podcast on the AbJack network of indie podcasts, consider subscribing to the show with an AbJack Insider subscription through Apple Podcast. For only $4.99 a month or $49.99 a year, you'll unlock a variety of listener benefits, and you'll be supporting the show in the process. Your support is greatly appreciated.
Welcome to Missing Persons, a podcast dedicated to spreading the word about people who have vanished under mysterious or unexplained circumstances and the family members who are looking for answers. I'm Jess Betancourt.
And I'm Mike Morford. Together, we created this podcast to help give a voice to people who continue to search for their missing loved ones. In some cases, even after decades have gone by. In each episode, you'll hear from Jess giving listeners the backstory and the basic facts of the disappearance.
Then Mike will speak with someone who's intimately connected to the missing person, and his guest will share their story with us. So sit back and enjoy this episode, and who knows, maybe you can help us find someone who's missing. Madison Re'Nea Allen was born on August 1st, 1991, to father Ronnie Rollins and mother Lynn Rollins, who is our guest today. Madison grew up mostly in Liberty, Mississippi, the eldest of 3 siblings. She faced challenges in life that resulted in her battling depression and anxiety, but she also enjoyed activities like participating in horse shows, going four-wheeling, and singing in the junior high chorus. She was also resilient, graduating high school, taking college classes, and staying strong through her mental health struggles. She ended up having 3 children who were the loves of her life. They are now ages 16, 9, and 3. Madison moved to Baton Rouge, Louisiana to pursue big city opportunities in the exotic dance industry. Her early love of dance became a way for her to pay the bills. She also drove for Uber. But in September 2023, Madison hit a really rough patch. She lost her apartment and totaled her car. Out of necessity, she moved into motels along Airline Highway in Baton Rouge. At the racetrack gas station, she met a man named Thomas Morris. Morris had 2 minor children, and according to Madison's family, she and Morris agreed that Madison could stay with him in his home in Zachary, in exchange for her providing childcare to Morris's children. Madison's mom did not know the details of this arrangement. She spoke with Madison on the phone on November 15th, 2023, in what she did not know at the time would be their last phone call. Madison sounded fine. She seemed hopeful about resuming her schooling and returning to work. Madison had posted on her own Facebook page on January 8th, 2023 that she got a job and was starting school, but she struggled and months passed. Madison told her mom she planned to go back to school and work. She seemed fine, and the two ended their call. On November 26th, Lynn received a text from a different cell phone from a person claiming to be Madison, showing her mom some eyeglass frames and saying she got a job caring for some children. Another text arrived on November 29th. Madison also debuted a new Facebook page in November 2023, with the last post appearing on November 29th. Then, there was nothing from Madison for months. She was not in touch with her minor children. None of her friends or family had heard from her since that last text on November 29th. She even failed to call home on Lynn's birthday in March, which was very uncharacteristic of her. That's when Lynn, who had assumed Madison was just busy with work and school, really began to be concerned. She reached out via Facebook to everyone on Madison's friends list, and a Thomas Morris responded. Thomas Morris told Lynn he knew Madison. He hadn't seen her since Thanksgiving 2023, and he was also looking for her. In their conversation, Morris did not tell Lynn that Madison had been living with him at 3317 Ash Street before she disappeared. Lynn reported her daughter missing in April 2024, first to the Liberty Police. She filed a second missing persons report with Zachary PD, who had jurisdiction because that was the last place where Madison was believed to have been before vanishing. Officer Robert Paxton responded and took the report and tracked down the address Madison was living at Morris's home on Ash Street. Lynn learned that the Zachary PD interviewed Morris by phone, who told them that Madison had been living with him, but that she had left on November 29th, 2023. Morris claimed Madison left the house, got into a vehicle he didn't recognize, and she never came back. She took all her possessions with her, he said. Morris later told the same story to two PIs working with Madison's family. But then, in July, he was actually interviewed by Zachary PD. This time, he continued to say that Madison had left of her own accord during the school day while his kids were gone, but this time he said this happened on December 1st, and she left all her things at his house, including a laptop and 2 phones. He brought these to the Zachary PD. Detectives confirmed that one of the phones was Madison's, but they failed to retain and search the phone, even though cell phone records showed that the cell phone was used after 3:30 p.m. on December 1st, 2023, which was inconsistent with the timeline related by Morris. According to the family, Morris admitted to police that he often picked up desperate women at the racetrack gas station and took them home, and gave them whatever they needed, which could include drugs. A witness who had spent time at the house reported that there were many women in and out of the house at all times. Lynn reports that in October of 2024, with her daughter missing for almost a year, the mother of a young woman named Trinity contacted her and said that her daughter believed she had been sex trafficked by Thomas Morris. Lynn also reports that they learned that on the same day that Madison was last heard from, November 29th, 2023, Morris called a friend named John to ask how to get deer blood out of his SUV. We'd like to clarify here that many of these claims about Thomas Morris are unproven allegations based on information obtained by Madison's family. Thomas Morris has not been arrested in connection with Madison's disappearance and is innocent until proven guilty. Then, one event we do know for a fact happened because we reviewed the police report. On October 22nd, 2024, Morris was arrested at his home by Zachary PD for, quote, domestic abuse battery strangulation. This was of another woman in his home. Her name was Megan. She obtained a restraining order against Morris. After this arrest, police searched Morris's house, but the search had nothing to do with Madison, and the family does not know what, if anything, was found. Morris then reportedly sold the home and moved away. Zachary police told Lynn that Morris was not involved in Madison's disappearance. Lynn does not feel that the agency has adequately searched for her daughter. But she has new hope that the case is now getting some attention. Mike Morford sat down with Madison Allen's mom, Lynn Rollins, to talk about her daughter's case. That conversation is coming up after a word from our sponsors.
Hey everyone, this episode of Missing Persons is brought to you by CBDX, and if you've been tossing and turning at night, then this is for you. A lot of us hit the point where sleep just changes. It's harder to fall asleep. We wake up in the night and we start the day already tired. And it's not just in your head. Sleep struggles are common, especially when stress and long days pile up. That's why so many people are discovering the power of cannabinoids. Yes, cannabinoids can be fun, but the benefits go way beyond recreation. People are using them to manage stress, ease discomfort, and support mood, and finally get rest. And here's the thing. A lot of people used to turn to a glass of wine or a nightcap to wind down. But more and more are choosing a healthier, natural alternative, one that actually supports better sleep instead of disrupting it. That's where CBDX's lights-out, sugar-free THC plus CBN sleep gummies come in. CBDX gummies are made for restorative sleep, not partying. Each blends indica-based THC for relaxation, CBN for sleep quality, plus glycine, chamomile, L-theanine, and just 1 milligram of melatonin. There have been times where I just can't sleep at night. Either I couldn't fall asleep, or I'd sleep for a little bit and get up around 3 in the morning and not be able to go back to sleep, and that's not fun. And CBDX helped with that. And it can help you get restful sleep too. CBDX gummies are naturally sweetened with monk fruit, no chemicals, no weird aftertaste. You take one, drift off gently, stay asleep, and wake up clear-headed, no hangover, no grogginess. And CBDX isn't just about sleep. They've got THC sativa blends for creativity, hybrids for balance, indicas for deep relaxation, and premium non-THC gummies with cannabinoids like CBG, CBD, CBC, and CBN, each with unique wellness benefits. So if you're ready to feel better every day, visit CBDX.com and use code MISSING for 20% off your first order. CBDX, plant-powered wellness you can trust. Again, go to CBDX.com, use code MISSING, and you'll save 20% off your first order. Get the sleep you deserve.
I'm Dr. Megan Sachs.
And I'm Dr. Amy Schlossberg, and we're the hosts of Campus Killings.
Summer break is over, and we're happy to announce that we're back with an all-new 4th season of Campus Killings.
On Campus Killings, we tackle some of the most shocking and disturbing cases to take place on or near school grounds.
We're not only educators, but we're also criminologists. And in each episode of Campus Killings, we call on our experience to not only discuss what happened in each case, but to shed light on how it affected those involved and what could have been done differently to prevent the crimes from happening.
We're excited to share that we've had so much wonderful feedback from our listeners and so many cases suggested to us that our 4th season is filled with cases all suggested by listeners just like you.
If you're new to the show, we have dozens of episodes already available to binge on so you can catch up. We'd love for you to give our show a try.
Tune in every other Saturday for new episodes of Campus Killings. Campus Killings is available everywhere you listen to podcasts. Subscribe now so you don't miss an episode.
Hi, Lynn. I want to thank you for coming on Missing Persons to discuss your daughter Madison's case with us.
Yes, sir. Thank you for having me.
I know you've been searching for Madison for, it seems, almost 2 years now, and I can't imagine how hard that's been for you. We're going to talk about some of the things in her case that we know and some of the things that we don't know. But before we get into the details of what happened, what's going on, can you tell us a little bit about Madison herself and tell us what she's like?
Yes, sir. With Madison, she's my oldest of 3 children. She was born 3 months early on August 1st of 91, weighing 3 pounds and 14 ounces. She spent 14 days in the hospital. I can remember feeling like those 14 days was an eternity, how empty and full of fear that I felt. At the age of 2, Madison began participating in horse shows. She loved riding horses. As she gotten older, she enjoyed riding, 4-wheelers and spending time with my mom, her grandmother, and going to the creek, which is where we spent a lot of our summer days. At an early age, life wasn't fair to Madison. At the age of 4, she went through things that no child should ever go through. This put a strain on family relationships and created a heavy weight on Madison at an early age that I honestly feel like that she never healed from and continued to carry with her throughout life.
So it sounds like it maybe affected her later in life?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. While growing up, Madison faced challenges. from the heaviness that she carried with her from what had happened to her when she was 4. She had depression. She suffered from anxiety, mood swings, of course, feeling of not being good enough and not understanding and what had happened and living with a void in her life. It was a struggle, and it was very hard at times. In junior high, Madison was a member of the choir at school. It's the chorus group, I believe is what it's called. She loved to sing. She had the most beautiful voice, and when she would come home to visit, that's what we would do. We would sit out on the porch and sing. Madison put herself through college for a medical assistant. She was very smart, very smart. I remember when she was a baby, she was so fat. She had little fat rows everywhere. We called her the little Michelin tire baby. I'd had to put baby powder under her fat rows to keep her from getting a rash.
Sounds like you have a lot of fond memories of her.
I do. I do. And I miss her.
Yeah, it sounds like you're very close.
Madison, she's beautiful. She's a beautiful girl inside and out. She's fun, caring. She has a big heart. Of course, she's free-spirited, and she loved to help other people. Madison could walk into a room full of strangers, and before she left, she would know everyone there and something about them. And she would be friends with everyone that was in that room.
Sounds like she was very outgoing and friendly.
She was. She was. She was just a people person. She cared a lot about people, and she just had that nature to her where she loved helping people. She would do it out so she could help someone else. Madison has 3 children. Her oldest daughter is 16, and she is struggling. She is struggling with this. She does not understand. She has a son that's 9, and she has a baby that's 3.
And it sounds like those kids are missing their mother.
They are. Her oldest daughter, she's 16. She's old enough to know what's going on. And she does not understand. I said that a while ago, but she does not understand, and she's struggling with it. The 9-year-old, Madison's been gone almost 2 years. He made 9 this year, and we don't know what to tell him. How do you tell a 9-year-old his mama's missing, somebody took her, we can't find her? And the baby, he just made 3 in May.
Hmm.
And they all need their mother, and they deserve answers. They deserve answers, and for their mother to be searched for and found.
And who are the children with now? Who are they staying with?
Their dad. The 2 oldest have the same dad, so they're with their dad. And when he's working, his mom watches the son. And my oldest granddaughter, she's with her step grandmother. And she travels back and forth. They're all right there together. I live like 5 miles from the dad. And the baby was adopted by a family friend of ours, which he lives maybe 15 minutes away. So, we're all still together.
Okay, that's good. And I'm curious. So you're from Mississippi. Is that where Madison grew up and originally came from?
Yes, sir. We're from Liberty, Mississippi. Yes, sir.
What brought her to Baton Rouge, Louisiana? What made her go there?
When Madison grew up, Madison started dancing. She used to be a dancer. And it was just more job opportunities in Louisiana than it was here in Mississippi where we're from. We're from a 2 red light town.
So she thought there was more opportunity there for her in that industry.
Right. Just work.
I'm curious, in 2023, so she's sort of in Louisiana without the rest of, with you, and she's there on her own. What was going on in her life in that time right before she went missing? Was there anything unusual going on? Was it, did she sound like she was in good spirits? What was her status right before she went missing?
Madison she was fine when I had talked to her last, but she had an apartment in Baton Rouge, which she lost her apartment, and then she totaled her car. And she was staying in hotels, but she was doing little odd end jobs. I at one time I said it was DoorDash, but I believe it was Uber is what it was. And then when she totaled her car, she couldn't do that anymore. And then she had met this man who promised to help her get back on her feet, offered her a place to live in exchange to live in his home and help him care for his 2 younger children.
And this man is Thomas Morris that we're talking about.
Yes, sir. Thomas Morris. And when I spoke to Madison the last time I spoke to Madison on the phone was November the 15th of 2023. And she was fine. She gave me no indication that anything was wrong. I knew she was living with someone, but I did not know who. I knew it was in Zachary. But I did not know who she was staying with, and I knew that she was helping someone with 2 children. And that was the last time I had spoke to her on her phone. And Thanksgiving that year, we messaged, Happy Thanksgiving, I love you. And then that was, I think Thanksgiving was on the 23rd of that year. But anyway, that was the last time I had talked to her on her own cell phone. And then on November the 26th, I received messages from another number saying that it was Madison. And I had no reason to believe that it wasn't Madison. I've received text messages from that phone on the 26th and on the 29th. And prior to these messages, she had told me that she was going back to school and that she was going back to work. She gave me no indication that anything was going on. And, Madison knows that I would come get her regardless of if she needed me to come get her, I would come get her at a moment's notice. And I have done that before in the past. She called wanting to come home and I went and got her. She knows that I would come get her wherever she's at. So I had no reason to think anything was wrong with Madison at this time or that anything was going on and that she was just fine.
And I just wanted to back up too for a second. Did she tell you about this Morris guy? Did she talk about him? Were they in like a boyfriend-girlfriend type relationship, or was it more, I'll let you live here and you help me take care of stuff around the house and take care of the kids?
She never really came out and said he was her boyfriend. I assumed that was her boyfriend being living in his home. Of course, that could go either way. That they could have been in a relationship or they could have just been friends. The only thing I know for certain is that she was living in his home.
Okay. And according to her and your conversations with her, there was nothing bad going on. She seemed perfectly normal. Everything was fine.
She was fine. She never gave me any indication that anything was wrong.
So I want to talk a little bit about those texts you got. So you start getting these other texts that are not from Madison's phone, but you said there's no reason for you to think it wasn't her. Did the text explain why they were texting from somebody else's phone other than Madison's, and what phone did they say they were texting from?
But she had sent the first message she sent was some pictures of eyeglass frames because I used to work at an eye doctor. And like I said, I didn't know the number, so I assumed it was from my youngest daughter's friend because she was going to be coming to the eye doctor and I was going to help her pick out some frames. And then I knew she was going to school to be a cosmetologist, and she mentioned that she had got a job. This was Madison, and I'm like, a job doing, with hair? And she's like, no, caring for people. And I made the comment that "Oh, I'm sorry. I thought this was Cheyenne's friend," something along those lines. But I honestly don't think she ever mentioned to me why she had that phone. I just assumed that, I had already knew that Thomas had gave her a phone to use. Wait a minute, let me back up. I didn't find that out later that Thomas gave her a phone to use until I talked to one of her friends after she was missing. I'm sorry. Um, I would actually have to go back and read the message and see if I asked why she was texting off this number. And I probably never even asked, and she never did say why she was texting from this number. I just remember her, telling me who she was, and then she talked about that she was going to go back to school and that she
But
had a job.
in the text, so there was nothing that made it sound like, okay, this is somebody pretending to be her. It seemed like you were really communicating with her.
Right. And I never had any reason to think anything was wrong. Now that I sit back and I think about it, I'm like, I wonder if this really was Madison messaging me, because it was November the 26th. It was November the 26th and November the 29th when I received these messages. And I can't be 100% certain that it was, my child texting me off this number.
How often did you speak by phone?
Madison and I, we stayed in contact. We didn't talk to each other every day, but we always stayed in contact. And at the time that Madison disappeared, or the last time that I talked to Madison on November the 29th, I was going through some things myself. I had just recently moved back home. I had split up with a guy that I was seeing, living with, and so I was moving back home, and I was dealing with that. So I had other stuff going on, and it just didn't dawn on me, from me not hearing from Madison that something was going on. I just took it as that she was busy with school and work, like she had told me that she was going to be doing.
Now, I know eventually at some point you said to yourself, probably something's wrong here, and you eventually reported her missing. But it was a stretch of time. It wasn't until April 2024. Is that correct? That you reported her missing? Why the long delay? Was it just finally you said to yourself, hey, something's wrong, I'm not hearing from her? What made you finally report it in April 2024 she was missing?
Well, in March, my birthday's March the 1st. Madison has never missed my birthday. And so when my birthday came, I didn't hear from Madison, and I'm like, okay, this is kind of unusual. Madison's never missed my birthday. But then that night, I remember laying in bed, I had my phone in my hand, and a friend request was accepted from her new Facebook that was started in October or November. And I remember feeling like, okay, my baby's fine. She accepted my friend request on Facebook. She's just busy. But, I never heard from her. And I was like, okay, she's just maybe got a lot going on. So in April, I think it was the first full week of April, I woke up 2 mornings in a row. I had this heavy feeling on my chest that something was wrong with Madison. So I started reaching out to Madison's friends because I couldn't get in touch with her. I called on Madison's to go-to people because she had certain friends that she would always stay in contact with as well. None of them heard from her since around the end of November. They tried to help me, find out if they could find people who had been in contact with her. Nothing. So then I messaged everybody on her new Facebook, every friend on there, and the ones that responded would say that, they hadn't seen or heard from her since around the end of November, or it's been a while. Several of the messages the people didn't get because, I wasn't their friend, so they just sat out there, I guess, somewhere, and they didn't know they had them.
Mm-hmm.
And one individual, at this time, I did not know who Madison was living with. One individual, who was Thomas Morris, responded to my message that I sent to him on Facebook saying that he hasn't seen her since around Thanksgiving time and that he's been looking for her himself. Said that he hasn't known her very long and that he had reached out to someone that he knew that she had been in dealings with, and they hadn't seen or heard from her either. He never once mentioned to me that my child was living in his home or that my child vanished from his home. I found out who Madison was living with because, I told you I reached out to all her friends. One of her friends went back and read messages where she had sent him a text message in October. I can't remember the exact date, like maybe the 16th or 19th, something around that time frame, giving the address of where she was and saying that she was stuck there. And before this, I had reported Madison missing because, after I woke up and couldn't get in touch with anybody, I reported her missing in Liberty, where that's, because that's where I live and that's where Madison was from. And then I found out either that night or I think it was the next night that we had to report her missing in Zachary because that's where she was staying and where she had went missing. So when I reported her missing, I didn't have an address of where she had went missing from, just that she was in Zachary, and I kind of told them where and the location because someone described it to us, the best that they could, you go over the railroad tracks and a subdivision by the school. But anyway, so when I found the address, let me back up. The same time that I sent the address, the Zachary Police Department had took Madison's picture that she had posted on Facebook to the school because it was a child in the background to see if they could identify the child in the background. So at the same time I'm getting the address, the school is identifying the home that my child was living in. Because I remember calling them and they was like, that's the same house that the school told us where this child lived.
So they were able to track down where she lived based on that child's photo. I assume that was one of Thomas Morse's children?
Yes, his youngest child.
Okay. So they go there, and what did he say to the police early on when they talked to him?
Well, if they went by his house, they didn't talk to him. He wasn't home or he didn't come to the door. They spoke to Thomas Morse on the phone. I know this because I read this in a police report. They spoke to him on the phone. He told them that she left his home November the 29th, leaving in an unidentified vehicle while he was at work. And then the same time frame, Thomas Morse had told me that my daughter left his home on November the 29th and that she took everything with her. He told a private investigator that was helping me the same story. She left November the 29th, took everything with her. Zachary did not bring Thomas Morse in for questioning until 3 months later. He changed his story at that time to that my daughter left on December the 1st and she left. The first story was she left November the 29th, taking everything with her. I don't know if I said that, but that's what it was. She took everything November the 29th. December the 1st, when he changed his story, he said that she left everything behind. And that was the second red flag that I had. The first red flag was that he didn't mention to me that my child was living in his home. The second red flag was that he changed his story. How do you go from a person took everything to all of a sudden a person left everything behind.
Yeah, it should be, if it's the truth, it should be one single story and not changing.
Right. At this time, when he went into the police department, he came in, he brought cell phones and a laptop. These items were given back to him. They were not sent off for forensic. One of these cell phones, I was told by a Zachary detective, was my daughter's cell phone. And I'm like, why did you give a missing person's cell phone back to the man's whose home that my daughter went missing from? He didn't need them. And I'm thinking, oh, no, sir, you need those because you need to have those analyzed and see what's in there.
It could be evidence.
Right. It's been a nightmare. It has been a really horrible nightmare.
October is Cybersecurity Awareness Month, a reminder that your digital life is always at risk. Every day, hackers steal identities, drain bank accounts, and open fraudulent accounts. LifeLock is here with tips to help prevent you from becoming a victim. Use strong passwords, set up multi-factor authentication on your accounts, report scams, and update the software on your devices. And for peace of mind, get LifeLock. LifeLock monitors millions of data points a second for threats to your identity. If your identity is stolen, a LifeLock US-based restoration specialist will fix it, guaranteed, or your money back. Plus, LifeLock plans include the $1 Million Protection Package, meaning LifeLock will reimburse you to your plan's limits if you lose money due to identity theft. Stay smart, stay safe, and stay protected. Get comprehensive identity protection with a 30-day free trial at LifeLock.com. Use promo code NEWS. That's LifeLock.com, promo code NEWS for 30 days free. Terms apply.
New school year, new routines, and a calendar that's somehow filled up overnight. When life gets hectic, the last thing you want to do is cook from scratch with all of that cleanup. For those busy days, Power's got your back. Power makes the food you crave, but made better for you. The best part? You don't have to sacrifice taste or time, so you can honor your cravings without compromising. Think thin, crispy cauliflower crust pizzas, all-natural chicken tenders coated in cauliflower, and crowd-pleasing nostalgic pizza snacks. Clean ingredients? Always. Ready in minutes? Absolutely. Full of flavor? 100%. Answering the "what's for dinner" question has never been easier. Power's products are available in freezer aisles nationwide. Visit eatcauliflower.com/where-to-buy to find a store near you.
I read too that cell phone that was there had been like wiped clean, like had been erased or whatever. Do you have any more information about that?
That is what Thomas Morris told the private investigators, that he wiped the phone clean. But when he brought the phone in to Zachary Police Department in July, supposedly it was text messages on the phone from my daughter to him saying that she was leaving. And I told Zachary Police Department, I said, y'all gave this man 3 months to set himself up a story. He had 3 months to come up with some kind of something to help make him not look guilty.
And I think you've also posted too that there was some cell phone usage in December 2023 on December 1st after 3 p.m.
Yes.
And is that a communication that you think happened between him and Madison? What's that communication on December 1st, 2023?
We had people send us text messages from my daughter on December the 1st and December the 5th. When Thomas Morris told his story to the Zachary Police Department, he said that my daughter left on December the 1st, leaving everything behind, was gone before his children got home from school. The school is like 5 minutes from the house, if that. We had text messages after 3 o'clock, and I want to say they went up to 5 and 7 p.m. activity on my daughter's phone. I had my daughter's phone records pulled and from her personal phone, and it showed activity on my daughter's cell phone after 3:00 on December the 1st. And when I went into a meeting at the Zachary Police Department, I showed this to the detective there, and he slid it back across the table in my face, and he said, "That is incoming activity, not outgoing. The paperwork, the phone records say outgoing calls."
And how did he, how does he say they're, the opposite of that?
He didn't. He just slid it back across the table to me. And, at this time, I'm aggravated because something's happened to my child. I know something's happened to my child, and you're doing everything you can to prove that this man's innocent instead of trying to find my child. And I stood up and asked him, I'm like, who in this room is related to Thomas Morris? Who is connected to him? And who is trying to cover up for him? Because I know something happened to my child.
Did they have a response for that when you asked them that?
No. Another thing that we had, my sister and I went to give DNA in Zachary. And one of the detectives there, he told me, he was actually a sergeant, I believe, that he wasn't going to be working the case because his family has ties to Thomas Morris's family. And, that didn't sit with me well either at that time because, all right, okay, that's mighty noble of you to pass this case along to somebody else because he made the comment and they're not going to ask me for any favors on this case. And then I got to thinking, they're not doing anything. They could actually care less about my missing daughter because she is not in the criteria that they want to find. Because, my daughter had a background just like everyone else. She's not perfect. She fell into activities that she should have not been in, but, she was trying to fix herself. Let me just put it that way. And I just felt like that they didn't think that, my daughter was a person that they was going to put forth effort into finding at this time.
October is Cybersecurity Awareness Month, a reminder that your digital life is always at risk. Every day, hackers steal identities, drain bank accounts, and open fraudulent accounts. LifeLock is here with tips to help prevent you from becoming a victim. Use strong passwords, set up multi-factor authentication on your accounts, report scams, and update the software on your devices. And for peace of mind, get LifeLock. LifeLock monitors millions of data points a second for threats to your identity. If your identity is stolen, a LifeLock US-based restoration specialist will fix it, guaranteed, or your money back. Plus, LifeLock plans include the $1 Million Protection Package, meaning LifeLock will reimburse you to your plan's limits if you lose money due to identity theft. Stay smart, stay safe, and stay protected. Get comprehensive identity protection with a 30-day free trial at LifeLock.com. Use promo code NEWS. That's LifeLock.com, promo code NEWS for 30 days free. Terms apply.
New school year, new routines, and a calendar that's somehow filled up overnight. When life gets hectic, the last thing you want to do is cook from scratch with all of that cleanup. For those busy days, Caulipower's got your back. Caulipower makes the food you crave, but made better for you. The best part? You don't have to sacrifice taste or time, so you can honor your cravings without compromising. Think thin, crispy cauliflower crust pizzas, all-natural chicken tenders coated in cauliflower, and crowd-pleasing, nostalgic pizza snacks. Clean ingredients? Always. Ready in minutes? Absolutely. Full of flavor? 100%. Answering the "what's for dinner" question has never been easier. Caulipower's products are available in freezer aisles nationwide. Visit eatcaulipower.com/where to buy to find a store near you.
So, a little bit back and forth on the dates. Since we don't really know when she went missing. You spoke with her. I think it was November 15th, if I remember correctly. But I've seen some dates mentioning she vanished on November 11th. Are those errors or those mistakes about those dates saying that November 11th is actually the day she went missing?
I don't know where November the 11th came from. I spoke to Madison November the 15th on the phone, on her phone. I texted Madison on her phone Thanksgiving. November the 26th was the new number, which was a phone that Thomas Morris gave Madison to use. November the 29th, that was the last text that I received from my daughter. That was the last contact that I had with my daughter was November the 29th, or who I thought was my daughter.
Okay.
The November the 29th was also the last post that was posted on my daughter's new Facebook.
Interesting timing. So let's jump forward to October 2024. This is almost a year after Madison went missing. You're contacted by a woman named Trinity, and this Trinity told you that Madison had been trafficked by Thomas Morris. And she shared a story that she too, I think, had been trafficked by him, but she was able to be rescued or escaped. Can you talk a little bit about that call with Trinity and what she had to say? And, was what she had to say accurate and correct?
I was actually contacted by Trinity's mother. Trinity's mother had seen, the name Thomas Morris out there, and she reached out to me, and I talked to her and Trinity. Trinity was living in the home with Thomas Morris. I'm not sure when she started living in the home with Thomas Morris, but Trinity went missing around January of 24. I was told that Trinity had an argument with Thomas Morris, and he put her out at an abandoned lot. And within minutes, she was picked up. The next thing she knew, she was sold to sex trafficking to Texas, Florida, and back to Port Allen, where she was found.
And then she was either rescued or escaped or something?
She was found. It was an altercation between her and two men, and the police was called, and they was all taken to jail, and they found out who she was through a missing persons flyer that her mother had posted in that area. That's how she was found.
Now, was it her allegation? Did she blame Thomas Morris for being part of trafficking her?
She never mentioned that Thomas was involved in trafficking or what happened to her. Just that he put her out and she was picked up within minutes after an argument.
Okay. So police didn't really investigate Thomas Morris in relation to her trafficking?
No, sir. And I don't even think at this time, they have questioned him pertaining to this. And as far as I know, they have not contacted Trinity or her mother yet.
Now, something else that you learned later on was that Thomas Morris had reportedly called a friend asking for advice about how to get rid of what he said was deer blood in a vehicle. And this call was reportedly made right around the time Madison vanished. Who was the friend that reported this call, and was it verified that this call was indeed made around the time Madison went missing?
As far as verifying the call, I can't answer that because I do not know. But the individual, his name is John. He reached out to me on Facebook and told me that he remembered that Thomas Morris had called him on November the 29th because he was at a birthday party, is how he remembered, a family birthday party for a niece or someone. And in the conversation, Thomas asked him, did he know how to get deer blood out of a vehicle? And, he didn't think nothing about it at that time until he started seeing, my missing daughter out there. Now, what become of that, I don't know. I don't know if the police checked into that story. I do know they talked to John at one time here recently. I say recently, it's been several months ago. But at the time that I reported this incident to the police, they did not contact him. It was several months after I notified Zachary Police Department until they contacted John and asked him about the story. As far as the deer blood, I do not have any information on that.
So we don't know if the police ever checked the vehicle to see if there was any blood in it or anything like that?
I do not know. For over a year, Zachary done nothing on my daughter's case. Nothing. I got in contact. Well, I say contact. I got in touch with the Cajun Navy. And when the Cajun Navy stepped in, I guess you can say they pretty much did step in because they started asking questions. They started contacting Zachary Police Department. That is when Zachary Police Department started looking into things that I have told them in the past.
So it was pressure from the Cajun Navy that maybe helped the police start taking it a little bit more serious?
Yes, sir.
And just for listeners, can you tell who the Cajun Navy is, what they do, or who they are?
The Cajun Navy is based out of Louisiana. Well, this particular group is. I'm not real 100% sure what all the Cajun Navy does. I know that they do rescue work. They help find missing people. They go in and help flood victims, storm victims. They just do search and rescue work.
Okay. And it sounds like they have some influence with the police that when they start talking to the police seem to take the case a little bit more serious.
Yeah, I mean, the Cajun Navy, they're out there. They are involved in a lot of activities. They just went to that big flood in Texas and helped there. And then I think that was in South Carolina or somewhere they was helping with another flood. And
okay.
They're very active with helping people that need help.
Okay. So one thing I want to jump to is in October 2024, Thomas Morris was arrested by Zachary PD for a domestic abuse incident in which he reportedly tried to strangle a woman named Megan. Did he go to jail for this incident?
He did. He was arrested and went to jail. I'm not sure what happened after that to his court date. It was like, I don't know if the charges were dropped, if they just swept it under the rug. I don't know, but I do know he did not serve any more jail time once he bonded out. When he bonded out, he sold his Ash Street home to a Mexican co-worker of his and moved back to St. Francisville.
And did this girl, Megan, who got attacked by him, did she live with him?
She did.
Okay. So now we know that Madison is living with this guy in November 2023. She goes missing. Then this girl, Trinity, was living with him not long after, and she wound up getting trafficked. And now we've got this third girl, Megan, that's living with him. He's arrested for attacking her, trying to strangle her. It's not a good pattern here over this 1 year period with this guy.
Right. Now, I want to back up to one of the conversations that I had with a detective at the Zachary Police Department that talked with Thomas Morris. Thomas Morris admitted to this police officer, to this detective, that he meets these women at the racetracks on and off airline. That's where he met my daughter, and he met Trinity at a racetrack on airline. That he picks these women up there and he brings them to live in his home. He also stated that he supplies them with drugs and whatever it is that they need in order to stay in his home.
It's not a good pattern. Seems like he's looking for maybe women to prey on, that he can victimize, perhaps.
Correct. Thomas Morris preys on women that are down on their luck and offers them a place to live. You know, he pays them a street of gold. And I cannot help but wonder how many other women have went missing from this home. I also want to add, you know, I post a lot of things about my daughter. Thomas Morris has a brother who commented on a post that I had made to, I think it's Action News in St. Francisville or whatever. And he was talking about my daughter, said that my daughter told them that she didn't have a family and that she was just thrown away. I said, wait a minute. I said, you just collaborated what we was already told about how Thomas Morris preyed on women who was down on their luck that don't have family, but Madison had family.
So, yeah, it's not a story that adds up. And following this attack on Megan, it was reported that police searched his Thomas Morris's home. Was that search done in relation to Madison's case? And if so, what were they looking for? Do you know?
They did search the home. What they found in the home, I do not know. They had a drug dog in the home, not a cadaver dog in the home. You know, because at this time, my daughter's case has still not been taken seriously. I think they found maybe some kind of doctor's appointment paper that belonged to my daughter in the home. Now, whatever else they found, I do not know because I was not given that information. When they searched the home, they wasn't searching for my child.
So, you know, here we are. It's almost 2 years after Madison went missing. The best connection or the best lead seems to be Thomas Morris. I mean, he's connected to your daughter. He's connected to a girl that was trafficked, and he's connected to a girl that he tried to strangle, all within a 1 year period here. Doesn't sound like he's a very nice guy. But I also read that the Zachary PD told you flat out that Thomas Morris was not involved in Madison's disappearance. Is that true that they told you that?
They did at the beginning. Because like I said, my daughter's case was not taken seriously.
How were they able to tell you so early on that without doing investigation that he wasn't involved? What did they base that on?
That I have no idea. I'm assuming the text messages that was on the cell phone saying that my daughter was leaving. And I stressed to them, you know, if my daughter was going to leave, she would not leave her cell phones behind. She would not leave the cell phone that he gave her with her information in it for someone to be able to access her information. Now, since my daughter had disappeared, someone had access to my daughter's Facebook, which I know how this was through the phones that was left there in the laptop that she used. They would go in and delete stuff from my daughter's Facebook or hide it and then put it back. And it was like they was just toying with us, tormenting us by doing this.
So where does the case stand now? What's going on? Are they actively searching for your daughter still, or do you think that they're still not taking the case seriously and doing much about it?
I believe my daughter's case is being taken seriously now. It's not a whole lot I can say about it at this time. I can just say that they are looking into things.
Oh, that's good. That's at least a positive step in the right direction, it sounds like.
Yes, sir. It's a miracle. That's the best way I can describe it, is that, you know, faith the size of mustard seed can move mountains. Well, we're moving mountains.
It sounds encouraging. And there's also there was a Crime Stoppers reward being offered in Madison's case for $5,000. Is that still active? And who was offering that reward? How did they raise that money for that?
Well, Crime Stoppers offers a reward up to $5,000. That's pertaining to Crime Stoppers and information that is given to giving to Crime Stoppers for the lead of the arrest of who is involved in Madison's disappearance. You know, that strictly goes through Crime Stoppers for a reward to be issued. I'm not sure the exact amount of the reward. I just know that they offer a reward up to $5,000.
Okay. And sometimes, a reward will make someone talk, if they have information, maybe that's enough to encourage them to come forward to the police. And hopefully if somebody does have information about Madison, they will, come forward. Do you have any social media pages or websites set up or anything like that for Madison's case that people should check out?
I have a page that I had set up for Madison. It is called What Happened to Madison Re'Nea Allen. I post on there a lot, and I also post a lot of things on my personal Facebook page, which, my name is Lynn Rollins. You can pull it up. Everything's public that pertains to my daughter. And I post on TikTok, Instagram, YouTube. I keep my daughter out there because I'm not giving up. That's my baby, and I know something happened to her, and I'm not giving up.
How hopeful are you that she is out there? I mean, even if she's been trafficked, that would be terrible, but it might mean that she's still alive and could be one day saved and reunited with you. How hopeful are you that she is out there someplace and that maybe one day you will see her again?
I'm not. Only thing I can say is that if my daughter was out there, my daughter would contact me. My daughter would contact me if she had to send a letter, if she had to send a pigeon to my house, she would contact me. And it would be great if my daughter was out there and I could find her and bring her home. But I honestly feel like that my daughter's not out there anymore, that something had happened to my daughter, and that my daughter is just out there waiting for us to find her. I honestly feel like something, that my daughter is no longer walking this face of the earth. I just feel that she's no longer with us. And I pray that I'm wrong, because I would love to have my child back.
So it sounds like you're hoping for the best, but you're prepared for the worst.
Yes, and this is so not right or not fair. We're stuck living in a nightmare. I'm stuck living in a nightmare, struggling to make it through each day, while those that took my child from me are walking around living their life to the fullest. We're here just waiting, living in the unknown, not knowing. The not knowing is what's just ripping us apart. The other day they was asking about Madison, and her not contacting. I said, I'm going to tell you, Madison has always contacted me. If Madison needed me, if Madison needed something, she contacted me. Madison would send a pigeon to my house to let me know she was all right if she had to. But I just want her back. And I can't give you much details on this, but there's another girl that's missing this year. And she was with Thomas Morris as well.
And is her name one you can share or you can't share right now?
Well, I don't know if the family would want me to share her name, but she is on Facebook. It is stuff about her. I have shared her on Facebook, and I just hope and pray that they find her too. And because these women, I have told from the beginning, I had said my daughter wasn't the first. My daughter wasn't the first. My daughter wasn't the last. It seems like, my daughter disappeared in November. He had Trinity in his house, we know, in January. And then Megan was in there in the house April, May of 24. And then she left in October. Well, then he already had another woman in the house. And then it's just an ongoing, it's a pattern. It's a pattern to him. He preys on these women who are down on their luck. And when they get ready to leave, what happens to them?
Yeah, definitely not a good pattern there, it seems like, with this guy. And hopefully if there's, more than one case, more than Madison's case connected to him, hopefully all that will come out. And
yes, sir. I go to bed praying, I wake up praying, I pray all day long, and I just want to find my child. I want to bring her home. I want to put a stop to all these other women that are going missing. It's just unreal. It's unreal what is happening.
Yeah, and I hope that you are able to, see that through, and maybe some of these other people that are missing in that area, maybe their cases can be solved too.
I hope so. I wouldn't wish this on anyone. It's just, the only way I can describe it is you live in a nightmare and you're broken. I'm broken. And it's hard for me to function, because I have 2 other kids. I have grandchildren. But all I can think about is Madison, finding Madison. What I'm going to do next to find Madison? How am I going to find Madison? And then I feel guilty because I'm putting so much towards Madison. And then I have my other children, it's like I push them to the side because I'm trying to find Madison.
Yeah. I think as a parent, that's a natural thing to want to know what happened. And, sometimes that comes at a cost of time with your other children or grandchildren. And, it's not fair that you're in this position.
It's not fair to any of us. Which, me and my children are close. They're the best support team I could possibly have. But it's not fair. It's nothing about this is right.
Well, again, best of luck finding out what happened, and I hope you do get answers.
Well, I greatly appreciate that, and I thank you for taking the time to talk with me, to help me get my daughter's story out there.
We hope you enjoyed this episode of Missing Persons. If you can provide any information to help solve the case we discussed in this episode, please contact the appropriate authorities.
If you enjoy this podcast, please take a moment to tell your friends about Missing Persons and invite them to listen to the show. Word of mouth will help us grow and bring these cases to a larger audience. You can also help us by taking a moment to rate and review Missing Persons on the platform you're listening to us now on. If you want to get early and ad-free access to new episodes of Missing Persons and help support the show in the process, please consider a subscription through Apple Podcasts. For only $4.99 a month or $49.99 a year, you'll get early ad-free access to not only this show, but to every other show on the AbJack network of podcasts. You can get started with a free trial by searching for AbJack Entertainment in your Apple app, and we'll include a link in the show notes. If you want to find us on social media, we're on every major platform and on YouTube. Just search for Missing Persons Podcast. We'll include links to all of our social media in our show notes, and you can also visit our website, missingpersonspodcast.com. Finally, if you're in need of a platform to discuss a missing persons case that you're connected to, feel free to reach out to us on our website. We're happy to help. Just a reminder that new episodes of Missing Persons air every other Saturday. On behalf of Jess Betancourt, this is Mike Morford saying thanks, and we'll see you next time on Missing Persons.